Welcome. Today we are going to look at how to do pivot tables. But this time around, we want to look at how to be able to do pivot table analysis using more than just one table. It's a little bit complex, but just pay attention and follow systematically, and then we are good to go. So what I'm going to do is let me show you in the first place the data that we are going to be using. So I think I can just, okay, this is the extracted file. So this is the data we're going to be using. So you notice that I have put all of them under one particular folder. So I will also advise that if you have different data sets that you're going to use for your Power Pivot, pivot tables, then you can simply make sure you put all of them under one single folder. And so as you can see, so the next thing to do is to simply, I'm going to go to my Excel and open a brand new sheet. So just give me, I'm starting from the process. So I'm coming to a brand new workbook. And so as you can see, everything here is brand new. So now, when you come like this, unlike the usual ones or the usual instances where you can just go to insert and then you come to, so you notice here, I can insert what is it from, I can insert my pivot table from a table or a range or from existing data source if I have. But you can see that from data model, it is actually faded. It is hidden. So it means we don't have any data model. So in this tutorial, there are two things I want to show you: how to build a data model and how to be able to use that same data model to create a pivot table and then look at it. It's almost the same thing as looking at a pivot table from different data sets that you have to put together. So now let's start. So to start, first of all, go to your data tab and then go to the far left of the ribbon. You will see get data. Click down the drop down arrow. You will see from file. These are from different sources where you're going to get data from. So we are going to get our data from an Excel workbook. So I'll simply create from Excel workbook. And then this will take me to my desktop for me to look for where the data is. So you bear with me, it's going to be a little bit, so mine is under this particular place. So it's under my downloads. I'll go there and this is the folder I showed you earlier. And so the first one I'm going to load in is customer. So I'll click on customer and come and click import. So it takes some few seconds before it will load. So you just need to bear with me for us to see. So it's loading actually. So it has loaded. As you can see, we have the, the actual folder name, which is where it is found. Then we have the customer underscore TBL, which means a table. And then we also have it as a sheet that's in the form of Excel. So when we want the table, I'll click on the table. You may ask why we always want tables, so that when new data comes, we can easily. And so when it comes like this, the next thing is we can either load it, we can transform it. In our case, we want to do a little bit of transformation first before we can load it into our Excel. So, but I'll use the two buttons though. So I'll click on transform data. So it will take me to Power Query. That is the platform under which you can transform data easily. So when I come here, what are the transformation I want to do? Maybe just one single. So these are zip codes. But if you understand Excel very well, when you enter data or any value and then it aligns to the right, it means it's not a text, it's a number, it's a numeral. But in this case, zip codes are not numbers. So we don't want Excel to see them as numbers. We want to see them as text. So I'm going to transform that. And so I'll simply click on this 1, 2, 3 that you see over there. And then I will simply come down here, you see text. And that will tell me, do I want to replace the existing one? So I'll say, yes, replace current one. And that's it. Other than that, it would have added a new column. So you see that now there is a text, it is aligned to the left. And the change we have made is around here. If you want, we can click on this X and that particular change will disappear. The next thing we want to do is check this. It's the same country, United States all over. We don't need it. So we may want to remove the entire column. So I'm just going to right click on top of it and say remove the column. And then that's it. So any other thing, I think, is fine. And once we have transformed our data to a point that we are okay, then we can simply now go and say, go to the left-hand side. The left top, on the top of the ribbon, the left side, you will see close and load. Click on that. So it's going to ask close and load or close and load to. Please, there are two things. So use the letter one, close and load to. I'm going to click on that. And then this same pop-up will appear asking me, do I want to just, load it as a table, as a pivot table report, or a pivot chart, or I just want to create some connection. In this case, we are creating a data model that we are going to use to establish or to create our pivot table. So we want to create some connection because we want to connect this table that we are loading to other tables. So I'll say only create connection. But I also want Excel to be aware that this particular data I'm loading is going to be added to a data model. So it will go and put it in a data model and be waiting for other one to be added. So I'll check on this box and then click OK and wait. So you notice that it is, so queries and connections, it is loaded. You see that that table is here, customers are here. So if I hover my cursor around it, you see that it will pop up. That's for the first one. We'll go and get the next data. So I'm going to fast forward that one. So it's the same thing. So we are picking the order data. I'm going to say import. And then, of course, you can see the same thing will appear here. So we simply click on this. So that's the table that we want to. The one that is underscore TBL that's the table. So we come here again. We want to make some transformation. So I'll click on transform data and wait a little bit. If the data is huge, sometimes it takes time for a minute, so that to be taken to Power Query, and that's where we can do transformation. Here, the only transformation I want to do is I want to make sure that the sales here, the profit, and then the shipping cost, they are all currencies. But at the moment, you see that they are just numbers. So I'm coming to click here and then change it to currency. And then I'll say replace it. So nothing's going to change, but I'm going to see a currency sign on top here. And then I'll come to this point to the same thing. I'm going to change it to a currency, replace it. And then the last one, click on the 1, 2, 3 over there. And say we want it to be a currency. And you replace the current one. A column will be created with the same data. This time around, it will be a currency. So you can maintain this and say that. But I don't want that. I just replace it. And that's all. So those transformations that we needed. So the next thing is to now, again, go to the top left of the ribbon. So you will see that's the Power Query ribbon. So you will see close and load. So we click on the drop arrow and then close and load to. We're going to click and close and load to. Again, I'll click on want to create only connections and then want to add this to a data model and then click OK. So it is adding, and yes, it has added. If I hover my cursor around it, you see that it has been added. Now the next thing, that's the last one. So we want to, so I'm going to go to my file again for my workbook. And now I'm now picking product. It's going to pick from the product. So I'll say import. And so this time around, that's it here. We are picking, this time I'm not using transformation because everything there is fine. And so I want to load it. But the loading, if I'm not going to load it direct, I want to load it too, so that it will allow me to be able to create. So create load to. And so as you can see, the same thing, we have the import data, the query is also up. So we create connection and we say add it to data model and then click OK. And so when you check our queries and connections, we can see that the three tables that we want, the customer, the order ID, and then the product are all here. The three tables are here. The next thing is to now create that kind of relationship or the model that we wanted. So under the data tools, whilst we are still on the data tab, under the data tools, you can see this particular icon. So when you click the drop down, you will see manage data model, and you can also create relationship. In this case, let's manage data model. So we click on manage data model. And then we are going to have the data, the customer. If you look at the bottom left, then you can see that we have a sheet for customer, table, orders, and then a product. All the three tables that we imported are all here. But this is the data view, as you can see. That's the data view. So we want to create some connections. So we go and look at the diagram view. So when you check on the ribbon at the far, right side, you see diagram view. So click on that, and you see that the three data sets that we had, the three data table we have already imported, customer, orders, and then product ID are all here. So let me shift this one down a little bit here, and then extend it a little bit so that we can see the other fields which are there, and then also drag it a little bit. Now we are going to create the connections. Where is the relationship between them? So when you check, you will see that under the fields are the column names. Have customer ID, customer name, city, state, zip code, region. So when we come here, you will also find that at least one of the field names here will also appear here. The most probable one is customer ID. You can see customer ID is also here. So there's a relationship. So we can simply click on that and then drag it up and then bring it to the customer ID too, which is here, and then leave it. So the relationship is established. So you can see it's one here and then asterisk over here, telling you that it's one-to-many relationship, which means one customer can actually have all of this being part of. So again, we can look at this table to the order table, the orders table, and then the product table. So what relationship is there? When we check our product ID here, we don't have, okay, we have product ID too, which is also here. So once we have at least two fields which are common, we can simply relate them. So I'm going to click on product ID here, and all the time the IDs are, so it's product ID actually. So that relationship too has also been established. So it's also one-to-many relationship. So when we are done like this, that's all that we need to do under this particular interface for now. So we have established the relationship between the data, the product, the orders, and then the customers. So now they can communicate to each other using the IDs that we have just established. Remember, it's always good to use the IDs to be able to. So it can be product ID, it can be customer ID, it can be order ID, and that. So, but at least when you have the IDs appearing in all of them, that's where you have to establish your connections. And when all of this is done, the next thing is now go to the top, the Power Query tab. Go at the very top, you will see Excel button over there. And then you also see the relationship model button, which is over there. So the Excel sheet, you click on that. And then we'll come back to the Excel sheet as we see here. So now the data we have around here, it has been connected. All of them have been connected. This time around, once we have imported the data models, the data tables, we have established the relationship between them. The next thing is to now we can go ahead and insert our pivot table. And then as usual, we can go to this point and say, we click insert, and then we say pivot table. So we click down here. So initially you notice that we didn't have from data model, it was hibernated. Now, because we have created the data model and we have also, established the relationship, the model is now here. So instead of now creating our pivot table from a data range like we did yesterday, which was just only one table or one data set, today we are dealing with three different data sets. So we use the model we have. So I'll say from data model, and I'll click on that. It's the same thing. We want it on a new worksheet. I'm going to go to click here, a new worksheet, and then everything is fine. So I'll click OK. And that is it. So you notice that at this point, our pivot table is ready. And you can see the data set, the customer table is there, orders table is there, and product table is there. And then we have our, our pivot table fields, which are also there. So now we can start to build our pivot table the way we want. And this particular layout, like I told you, if you don't want it, you can always come and click here and then choose the default layout, which is here. Now you can drag this out if you so wish. So I can simply drag it out up to this point and then expand it a little bit so that we can have enough space. And then I can also expand this a little bit up and then take this a little to this side. So we have enough information or we have enough view to be able to look at our data and then in that order. So maybe it's back to where it was and I think it's fine. So now we can now begin to build. So let's start with if you now want all the fields under this table or like all the columns, click on this and you notice that we have the customer ID, the city, the state, and then all of that. Let's assume that we want to look at the state in the rules. So I'll simply drag the state and come and put it under my rules. And you notice that all the states are here in the US. In fact, I got this data from Simon IT. So please, it's always important to acknowledge the source of the data. Simon IT actually simulated this data, and I picked it from there. So it's a data from the United States, and then that I am using. So you can see all the states are here, and we want to look at maybe let's go to the product and look at the product name. So that's the product ID. Product name is here. So let's look at the product name under each state. So you notice that we're going to have a very long data. Under each state, you are going to have the product name. And then, so when we come to, but at this point, no sense is being made. So unless we go to, well, when you see this particular Sigma, it means we're actually looking at calculations. So let's look at, we go to the orders ID. So I think the orders table is here. And then let's see. So we have sales, we have profits. Okay, so let's look at quantity under each. So I'm going to drag the quantity to the values. And so we can see each particular states in terms of baseball and pants, baseball pants red, this is the quantity that was ordered in Alabama. And then baseball shirt blue, Alabama, they ordered only one, and then in the order. And so we can also look at maybe sales reports or profits that has been made. So under the 16 quantity that were ordered under baseball pants, you notice this was the profit that they made under what in Alabama. And so now our pivot table where we can now be working with more than one table is ready. And this is how it is. When we go to Arizona, we have the same thing. Now, in some cases, you may want to collapse it. If you want to collapse all of this and leave only the state and not the product. So you can simply just right click here, right click just by where the minus, the small minus sign is. And you can see expand collapse, expand stroke collapse. Yeah, so we can say expand the entire field, collapse the entire field. So it will collapse everything. And then let us just look at only the states. And then under Alabama, this is the total number of orders that were made of all the sports equipment. And this was the total profits that were generated in Alabama. Arizona, the same thing in that order. If we want, we can actually now, we can click here and say we want to sort the data in ascending order from largest to smallest. And then in that order. So it made California orders more, made more profit as well. And so if, just like I was saying yesterday, if you now want to apply any formatting and whatsoever here, you are good to go. For instance, this particular profit, if we want to look at it percentage-wise, I can actually pick the profit again. Let's come here and look at unit price. I think the profit is here. So the profit is here. I can drag it and bring it here again. And then with that particular one, we don't want to see it as actual value. So I'll right click on that and come and say, so as percentage of grand total, 17%. And then in the states where they were making 16%. And then California is they're making a whole lot of profits. 17.10% of all the profit comes from California. And then so now we can decide to now go ahead and then make all kinds of manipulations, and then we're good to go. If you want to apply conditional formatting on it, I can just simply highlight the whole thing like this, and then you go to your home tab, come to conditional formatting, and then say that maybe you want data bars, or maybe you want a color scales, and then or something like this, and then in that order. So so the so if I take the color scheme, so let's look at it, and then scroll up. I think I need to do it column by column, so that it doesn't. At this particular one, no, I think the formatting is not too good for me. So I'm going to clear all rules, and then of course it will be better to do it column by column. Like for instance, if you highlight from here up to down there, and then you use this, yeah, this is way better. So we can see the highest in green and then in that order. And like I said, if you don't want to see these numbers, so we could also come here, and I expect to see the same color pattern. If I use the same color scale, use this, yeah, it should be the same pattern. Yeah. And then when we come here, we should also see the same pattern. The same color scale here and use the same pattern. But this time around, I can now highlight everything and then hide all the numbers. And then to be able to hide the numbers from, you press Control and 1, and then you can see customize here. Come to, and then press your semicolon. How many times? I can see when my semicolon 3 times. Click OK. So it will hide all of them, and then you can only now see the colors. And then the colors, of course, allows you to be able to know that, okay, this is where California is doing well. And then, of course, the districts of Columbia, that's Washington. It's actually Washington, D.C. is not doing well. Kansas, Mississippi, and then all of that are not doing well. Basically, this is how we are able to handle what is it, different, how do I put it? If we want, this is how we're able to do the pivot table of more than one table. If you have to deal with like 2, 3, 4 tables, there have to be some kind of relationship. Like that's what happens. So the rest of the things that you have to be manipulating, have to be moving here and there, is basically the same like the way we use the ordinary pivot table. Like if you can click here, you can see value field settings. You can click on this particular place. Maybe you're not actually looking at the sum, you are looking at the average. So we could actually click there and say we want to look at the average. And you notice that we are now working on average. So everything runs. It will run across the averages and then in that order. And that is it. We can actually come to this point and say we want to format the cells, or we can actually round it up to maybe a specific sex. And then we could also show it. So that is it.